Hey, so today
so
we're
going to go into our next shape. We're going to do surface area today.
Of which
we
shape?
are
What
only
shape
going
is
to do
this?
surface area cylinders today, so
Good.
this is the only video you have to watch.
Rectangular.
It means it's going to be a little bit longer too. We're going to take some time to actually talk about
and in particular, this one is actually a square pyramid. You know that because
so when you look at
if you look at the base, you can see that the length and the width of the base are the same.
It is a
so you could also call this a
good.
square pyramid.
That is wrong. So hold on one sec.
So the shape of the base you can either say is a rectangle or a square.
So you're right,
remember,
this is
square is a type of rectangle.
And that means that the shape of the base is a circle.
Okay, so I want to point out some things too before we even start to talk about the formula.
We're going to look at the shape.
If you look at this
all the things that we know
of this,
we need to
notice
shape
that this 5
shade the entire
is the
base.
distance of the triangle,
Yellow.
and
So
the thing it's here. This 5 is green. So we haven't talked about this yet. This is called the slant height. So I'm going to write that in green over here.
Outline
the slant height.
Base.
So remember, every time we used to talk, that's supposed to be
outline the base.
So every time we used to talk about whether you measure your height standing straight up or standing like leaning, when people would ask me what the height is, this is the slanted height. So that's the only time that your height isn't going to be straight up and down. It's actually going to be the slanted distance. So notice when you unfold it, that slanted distance
right now,
is actually
the a little bit longer
height of
to
the
talk
triangle
about this, since we're only doing one shape today. We can stop and think about
the 4 inches
blue that I just highlighted around the circumference of the
circle.
That's like the perimeter of the circle.
So for this activity, you're going to need actually 4 colors instead of just the 3.
Around here
you're going to also need green, so make sure you have green.
Distance that I'm now
so let's go ahead and start labeling this with the pieces that we know. So first we're going to color the base yellow. So what shape is the base?
Material. So notice that this also represents the perimeter of the base,
square, the rectangle,
as well as the circle.
So we're going to highlight that in yellow.
So I want us to look at the formula we use for any prism. And technically for cylinders they have a special formula, which we'll look at in a second. It's right here.
So remember, you can pause the video.
I want us to think about what this represents, and it's the same for triangular prisms and rectangular prisms.
So next we need to
our
do
formula
the
says we're going to take
base,
the perimeter of the base,
so that we have that
which is what we highlighted in blue here, and multiply it by the height, which is what we highlighted in red here. Well, if I do this length times this width of this entire rectangle, that gets me the area of the rectangle here.
And next we need
to do that means that this
height of the prism, and I
gets
actually
me
already
the
did
area
mine
of
in
this
red
lateral
because I wanted you to be able to decide what line that is.
That's
this
the part where the label goes. It means everything except the base. Then we're adding to
so 4 is the height
area of the base
of the pyramid. Notice that 4 isn't on
here. So if I
here.
just do big P times H, the perimeter of the base times the height, that just gets me the area of everything
to the tip top,
that is the lateral area, everything in the middle.
No height.
Then I add on the area of the 2 bases.
With your
this is the formula for any prism, because a prism has 2 bases.
So the slant height is 5 here,
of the space
slanted
in between
along the edge of it.
So that's why this formula works. Now if we look at the cylinder formula in particular. So the cylinder formula on your formula chart doesn't say pH plus 2 V's.
1/2
it says this
perimeter
one right
of the
here.
base times
surface area equals 2 pi r
the area of the base
times H.
So notice
2
that instead of having
and actually
two
they're all
big
just
B's,
together.
2 area of the bases, we only have one because a pyramid only has one base. If we were going to do lateral surface area, the way that we do lateral surface area of the pyramid is we just wanted to include this plus big B. It would just be 1/2 perimeter of the base times the slant height.
This is the same as this formula because the perimeter of the base, well, this is a circle. To find the perimeter of a circle, it's the same as the circumference. 2 pi r is the formula.
You're multiplying it times the slant height, which when we lay it out is actually the
and then we have the H, which is the exact same.
So you're multiplying each of these times the height of the triangle. Well, to find the area of each of these triangles,
and then pi r squared. Well, pi r squared is how we find the area of
and then you just find the area
of the base. So these two formulas are saying the same thing, but
this
Data Texas gave you this version with those
formulas. So if they give you the net, you actually don't need to use this formula. You can just find the area. So let's go ahead and plug in the numbers where they go. But if they give you the 3D figure,
so if I look at this formula, I know I need to know 2
you could use just the area, or you could use the formula.
H.
So let's fill out the formula.
Well, 2 is already 2. So we're going to go ahead and actually leave this in terms of pi. So remember, we've been talking about what
the next column needs
in terms of pi means.
So the perimeter,
and y'all don't have to write this,
would just be 6
but remember, when I tell you in terms of pi, that means I'm leaving pi in my answer. So I'm going to do that for this one, and then we'll get the actual answer without it.
That I have.
R. Okay, well, R stands for what? Radius. Good.
5. Good.
So do I have the radius here?
In 5 for the slant height.
Hopefully you said no, because this is not my radius.
The area of the
this 6 represents the diameter of the circle. I need to know my radius.
Rectangle.
So we know that the radius is half the diameter. So you should be able to quickly figure out that that is 3. So my radius that I need to plug in.
So my area, my base is going to be 6 times 6. My area, my base.
My height is what we colored red. So now the 14 yards. That's the distance in between the two bases.
Formula and rewrite it.
Plus 2
so
pi
when I rewrite this, I'm going to write
squared.
surface area.
So again, we're going to leave pi
equals
2 is already a number. For r, we will plug in 3 into the second power squared.
24. So that was what we solved for
2
big P.
Pi
times
3.
That was the slant height.
Because we plugged in 3, it's the radius.
Plus
times 14.
That's what
that was
we
our height.
For
plus 2 times pi.
So when you look at this, according to PEMDAS, you can pick different things to do first.
So following PEMDAS, what do I need to do first? I need to do my exponents first.
I know I'm going to add last, so
3 squared, 3 to the second power should be 9.
We can pick whichever one we want.
While I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and actually also do
half of 24 first.
2
so if I want it
times
half
3.
of 24,
I want to leave pi here because we said in terms of pi, so I'm not going to touch pi, but I am going to do 2 times 3.
So I'll rewrite this surface area equals.
So when I rewrite this, I'm writing surface area equals 6. That's the 2 times 3. Times our pi, we left it there, times 14,
multiply next, 12 times 5,
2 pi,
and then 3 times 3 got us 9. Just like the last video, we're going to continue this over here.
So looking at this, the next thing I want to do is finish off my multiplication. So that means I'm going to multiply
I'll rewrite this as surface area
6 times 14. Remember, I'm going to leave my pi there. I'm not doing anything with it. I'm also going to multiply 2 times 9.
60 plus 36.
So if you work out 6 times 14, you get 84.
So my surface area here will be 96 inches.
If you work out 2 times 9, you get 18.
And that is how you find.
So I'm leaving this in terms of pi. I'm not plugging in 3.14 yet. We are not going to do the next example for the triangular. I worked it out on here, so if you want to copy it, you can. This is the part you're probably going to have questions on, and we're going to answer those.
The pieces involved in this are kind of complicated, so I'm not actually going to have y'all work it out. We'll talk about it in
and you're like, hey, we can't add.
The numbers aren't here,
there.
So hold on just
we can add 84 pi and 18 pi because they are the same terms. So again, they're both in terms of pi, so we can just add 84 plus 18
so you can see where those numbers came from.
102.
But you don't have to.
So this could be my answer if I were answering it in terms of pi. I would be done. My surface area would be 102 pi.
But the number placement
squared.
Oh my goodness.
So that would be it if this were my answer in terms of pi. It's just kind of difficult
to understand if.
So this answer here is already
just in terms
of pi. We're done. But what if they don't ask you for in terms of pi? Well, then you need to plug in pi, and we know pi stands for.
Make sure you have questions ready.
It's on your formula chart if you don't know. Good, 3.14. So I can finish this by multiplying 102 times 3.14. And if I multiplied that out, which you would do on your own on the side, you would get 320 and 28 hundredths yard squared. So if I don't want my answer in terms of pi, then my final answer would be 320.28, 320 and 28 hundredths yard. So this is how we find the surface area of cylinders. We made connections between the perimeter of the base and the distance here on the rectangle. We also made connections between what the cylinder formula here, 2 pi RH plus 2 pi r squared, how that represents the same as pH plus 2 big B's. They're the same thing, it's just they plugged in the formulas. We talked about how to combine like terms to get our answer in terms of pi. And we also talked about how to plug in pi to get our answer without pi in it, just not in terms of pi. So right now, if you didn't have time to finish these videos on triangular prism or rectangular prism, you can go back and look at them. Or if you just realized, hey, I probably need some extra help, you can go back and look at them. If you're done with all that, you feel comfortable, you feel like you understood this, you can go look at your homework for tonight, or you may do think through math, but either way, you need to make sure you're not talking. Thank you for paying attention. I'm looking forward to seeing you in a couple of minutes or tomorrow to do some more stuff with cylinders. Yay.